So Claude just launched Opus 4.7. Let's see what all the hype is about. They claim that 4.7 is exceptionally good at producing high quality interfaces, slides, docs, and whatnot. We'll be the judge of that. I've been using 4.6 for the past few weeks, and that truly was like in order of magnitude better than everything else that's out there, even the Claude models. So let's see what 4.7 actually looks like. Start by giving it a prompt, and we're going to talk about something that everyone's interested in, and we know is a true fact, not a conspiracy theory, which is Bob Lazar and the Area 51 theories. And I'm going to push Claude to try to make this interactive. Like, everyone knows it can make documents and whatnot, but let's see what it actually looks like if it's interactive. And then lastly, I want to say use send so I can share this. And that's just this MCP that I have installed called send, which is go to send.co if you want to install it. And that lets you basically publish all the stuff that you make inside Claude. All right, let's see what this looks like. I have Opus 4.7 enabled, and at the time of this recording, it's 11:52 a.m. I'll fast forward a bunch so you can see what the result looks like and how long it takes. All right, it finally finished, and it took 5 minutes to create it, but let's see what the document looks like. That is pretty sick. It got some of these animations, dude, that Claude can create are just so crazy. I mean, look at that. Like, watch. I don't know if you saw that, but the text basically like glows for a second, and then you see this line come all the way down. This is so sick. Bunch of text. No way. Okay, select a craft about the sport model. So yeah, like if you follow the UFO lore, then you know that he basically saw like 9 UFOs when he worked at Area 51, and that is pretty sick. Like, it got all that stuff right. It didn't actually change the design of these, so that maybe that's not as impressive, but still, this is pretty sick. Yup, that's pretty cool too. It created this whole animation walking you through what element 115 would look like, and see how the propulsion reactor activates. There's a wave amplification. This is so crazy. Just look at these animations. Next, and space-time bends. Yup, you want to go there. Craft arrives and space-time unbends. The craft destination. Start. That is so crazy. Oh, mode. Let's see what the time like. So this part didn't get quite right. Like, I feel like this is a pretty simple thing to solve, where these circles should be aligned with the line. And of course, I could just tell Claude to make that change and it'll update this link. But that's something I was kind of hoping Opus would figure out by now. I mean, it got all this other stuff right. I don't see why I couldn't get that right. So that's pretty cool. This document's pretty long too, so it makes sense why it took a few minutes. So overall, I'd say like the animations it's able to create are pretty impressive. Let's see how it works with actually making edits. So I'll take a screenshot of this, and I'll say, for the timeline part, the circles are not aligned with the line. Fix it. And let's see how and whether it's able to actually fix that. So yep, it's able to identify CSS issue. Let's confirm if that is actually the issue here. And it fixed it already. Okay, so we should just be able to refresh the page on send, see the results. And yeah, it got it right. That's so cool. I mean, Claude is really good. So that's pretty cool. Like, usually when I've given it screenshots in the past, especially with Opus 4.6, it wasn't always the best at recognizing what the issue was and how to translate that into actually changing the document, but it was able to get this right. And then let's change one more thing, which is where they show these. I mean, this is just blowing my mind how good it is. Let's try to make this graphic a little bit more impressive. So let's say on section 3, where you show the UFOs, add hangar bay doors between each one. Let's see if it's able. Now that's pretty hard, but also just look at how impressive each one of these designs are. Like, there's a glow there, there's a hover state there, there's these like flashing lights here, which is impressive. And then the whole container itself has this like glow around it, if you see here, and it has this grid here. If I zoom in a bit, you should be able to see these grid lines here. It added these lines, which is like the shadow basically below the craft. So that is pretty impressive. And just think of like, look at these like small details too, right? Like I hover over something and this highlights and zooms in. So it looks like this is now done. Let's see if it's able to make that change correctly here. That's so sick. This is blowing my mind. Oh my God. It is so crazy. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else we want to try doing. And let's do one more thing. Okay. This one might be a little bit hard. Let's say for section 4 here, show the other elements all the way up to bismuth. Sorry, I can't spell. On the periodic table and how this element compares to it. So this will be kind of complicated. It requires knowing the right CSS properties to be able to lay out elements, make sure that works right on mobile, make sure it correctly identifies which elements to show in the first place. It's going to have to rely on some knowledge to be able to do that, and then jam it all into here. But I mean, so far, I got to say, I am very, very impressed. Some other things were like, for example, when I used Claude Sonnet, maybe like 2 months ago, it would have these animations, but these animations basically hijack the scroll. And so it's these small little things that it was slowly getting there, but I didn't feel like Claude just completely nailed it. But in this case, it's like this animation could very well have run into some issues where it just keeps playing, or maybe hijacks a scroll or something like that. But it doesn't seem to be the case. And on one shot is able to get all that stuff right, which is pretty phenomenal. So it is still editing that document. We'll come back to that in a second. And the text here, I mean, look at this too. Like, look at this, this text here has this green glow behind it, which is very impressive as well. And the timeline, the other thing that Claude loves to do that I found is that as you scroll, it loves to fade stuff in. instead of just showing everything at once. At first, I thought that was okay. Now I've kind of gotten annoyed of it. So maybe I might tell Claude to remember not to do that again in the future. But this is pretty cool. And let's see how it looks on mobile as well. So it's inspect, see how it looks on mobile, see if it breaks anything there. So far, so good. If you remember, these were all side by side, but stacked them correctly. That's not too hard to do, but still very impressive that it got that right on the first shot. And this part is, I mean, he got this right as well. You could kind of critique this a little bit and say, hey, like, maybe these should have been aligned better or something like that. Or maybe this could have been scrollable because it doesn't really make sense that they'd be stacked. But still, it got that right, which is very impressive. And this animation. I mean, this animation is so cool, too. Anyway, let's see how this looks. Yup. I mean, it basically scaled down the animation here. Or maybe had the same animation, but just expanded it to take up the full width. But at least it stacked these components here, which is very nice. And everything else looks great. Yup, it got the timeline perfectly right. 2 years ago, this would have taken like a few hours to get right. So it's very impressive. Let's see if it finished. Cool. I'm already out of usage. Wow. And I'm on a pro plan. I'm not on a max plan. But let's see how that came out. It got all the elements. This is so crazy. Like, this is insane. Just think about how much CSS is required and how much know-how you need to have of how to configure these elements to make sure that the elements are rendered in this way, which is how the periodic table of elements looks. And I mean, for each one of these, you could hover over it and see how it looks. So for bismuth, topic number 83, that is so good. I theorized that this is super heavy. I mean, this is like I don't know if it did some research or something like that or just has this knowledge, but that is pretty cool that I got that right. So overall, I'd say this is like a 13 out of 10. I'm very impressed. So yeah, Opus 4.7 at designs. Yes, they got it right.